Welcome, everybody. This is Terry Palma, co-host with Bev Thompson, and it's time for another session of Conscious Gatherers. Bev, are you with us?
Yes, welcome, everybody, for our episode 15, correct? And today we're going to talk about King Arthur and the Round Table and Avalon. And Terry, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Well, what I really would like to do is have you share your stuff first, because what I found and will bring up, I think, will fit in better at the end of this, tell you the truth. So why don't you go through your stuff, and then I'll come in at the end.
Okay, great. Great. A little bit about us. Both Terry and I came together to share some of our knowledge for you all to understand the power that you really are and the truth of who you are. So keep that in mind. That is what we are doing. And we feel very strong that we want to share this with you, especially going through these times. So any questions, any comments you have, you're welcome to let us know what those are, and at the end of this podcast, we'll give you more information as to how to reach us. All right. Well, last week we had talked about a writing called Divine Surrender. It's one of my writings in my first book, and it was used in the making or as guidelines in the making of the Declaration of Independence. So had asked about that, and how we got into King Arthur is because I asked about where this book, the writing, could be found, and it said it was something to the fact that it was in the time of the 5th dynasty of King Arthur. So that's what opened the door to King Arthur. So we're going to share. I'm going to share some of the information that I have received and an interaction with Arthur. And then, Terry, you can jump in at any time for any clarification. I would love it. So I'm going to start in. Quite a few years ago, probably around the year 2000, we were getting ready for Angel Group, and Terry and I have talked about that because we used to have a discussion meditation group years ago, and we just called it, came to be known as Angel Group. And it was more of a story there, but I'm not going to go into that now. But I remember one day I was getting ready to sit down, and a fairly good-sized group was forming, and I could tell in my third eye, so to speak, I can see a tall, kind of a big man standing in front of me. And if I recall correctly, I said, "Well, who are you?" And nothing happened at the first time, and then this has been a while, 20 years. Something to the fact I sat down, and then I think I asked again because I noticed he was still there. And then I heard, internally, Arthur. He said it like that, Arthur. And so I said, King Arthur? And like a question, and got no response. And I found out later, actually, that a gentleman that is no longer with us on this plane of existence mentioned, he says, "Oh, yeah, King Arthur didn't want to be known as King Arthur, just Arthur." I said, okay, that makes sense. But that day, and just after sitting down for like a minute, then he started, Arthur, started giving me what he called live by these truths. And so I wrote them down, and I would like to share them with you. He said, "You cannot live by the sword. Remove the sword from your heart." And here are the 10 things, these truths, as he stated them to me. Number 1, hear not the sorrows, the anguish, the turmoil of your fellow man. These are not your realities. No need to take them into yourselves. Hear the heart and soul of your fellow man, for there is the love. Number 3, follow not of your fellow man, follow that of your heart. Number 4, stand tall amid the darkness and let your light shine. Number 5, Be true only unto yourselves, and all else will fall into place. Number 6, the light spectrum of God lies in each of you, that no man put asunder. Number 7, joy is for you to share. Number 8, love in earnest. Number 9, see through the eyes of your soul. And number 10, bear witness unto the great Creator, for then truly you are the hand of God. That's it. So if you look at each of those, in fact, I had put it in a newsletter, and I had this sitting on my desk, and I started looking at it, and then it came to me, put that into a poster. And so I did. A friend of mine named Sharon and I came up with a design, and it took a while, but we were both seeing very similar things, and then we came up with a design, and in fact, and it looked pretty cool. And we had T-shirts and stuff made. But anyway, that was my interaction with Arthur, and I felt that what he gave me was pretty profound. And it actually explains everything that both Terry and I have been talking about all along. You have any comments yet, Terry?
Well, later. I want you to share your book stuff, too.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go in my second book called Mystery of the Universes, Book 2. One of the writings is called The Mystery of Avalon. And I'm going to share just a little bit about what was said in this writing. It was written in 2008. They said the legend of King Arthur, I think I used the King Arthur, and the Round Table is a story that has been told time and time again. It is life moving in a circle until that circle is complete in love. Did Arthur exist? Yes. He lived on the Emerald Isle, that place of servitude to the Father, the source that you are. Said he fought for the independence of the inner mind, that creative peace, P-I-E-C-E, and peace, P-E-A-C-E, that dwells within. So in the outer world, he brought the forces, the battling peoples, to lay down their arms in reverence to the Father. At that time, the Father was known as a typical figure, much as God is perceived today. And then Arthur taught man to respect all man, regardless of one's stages in life. The Round Table is that symbol of life and love. As love circles, it touches all of man until man is engulfed in that frequency. Now, the next part is, I may have been asking this internally. I really don't remember since it's quite a few years ago. But said, did Arthur marry his sister? If you recall, that's part of the story. He said he did, in that all of man is related within the sphere. He did not marry his biological sister, but felt the ambiguity that was laid before him. He knew not of his status until the temptation of his manness was challenged. He knew of himself as one who would lead his countrymen to the forefront of their liberty, for the countrymen to decide for themselves their own reasons to live the life that they choose. The female man, I like the way that was said, female man of that day knew what they had to do in order for the male of man to release, one moment here, their judgments of superior over inferior ideas of the sexes. The female helped teach the system of equality only to tell their tale of sacrifice in the name of the Holy One of life. They sacrificed no more and brought their power to eliminate the crevice between man and woman. How about that? Part of the writing does talk about Avalon, and it said it has existed and has existed for many millennia. And it goes on to say, as you've learned, your life is your choice and only your choice. So the actions or inaction that you choose is your responsibility and no one else's. So the word responsibility keeps coming up over and over again, and we're finding out it really is our responsibility. It says, so why does man not live in a utopia? Because man has yet to perceive himself the controller of his own destiny. Each lifetime has its own destiny, and this lifetime is no different than any other in that you have created your own set of circumstances. By this we mean that you create your own schedules, your likes and dislikes, your family, your friends, where you want to live, and how you want to proceed in this life. This is all in the name of soul progression. It says, yes, Avalon is well and alive. And it said, do you wish to live in that place? And it said, Avalon's, your utopia is just a thought away. Once you have cleared the emotional baggage that you have carried around and around from lifetime to lifetime, then you can step into this new world. And I thought this was interesting, and there's an exercise that we all can do. It says, how do you want your new world to be? Write them down. Then in a few days, go back over your list. Revise them if you wish. Then a few days after that, go over your revised list again, then revise again. This list is unending because you are making your living each moment by moment. You continue to create each moment. So now, move the elixir of love into each continuing moment, no judgments attached. Can you feel that inner love vibrating throughout your whole body? Using love, unconditional love, and all you think, do, and create, then each moment is magnificent. It can be no other way because it is your creation, your Avalon of life. So there's more to this book, but I just picked out what I thought was pretty important and a lot to think about. And there is another, isn't it? Isn't it? So, why don't we live in our utopia? Yes, we, went through the great experiment, and now we're under the grand plan. So, what do we want this to look like? And, what's going to serve us?
So that's interesting because if you do what I did, if people out there do what I did, and you do all the searching you can on the Internet through Google and whatever for King Arthur and all of that, you're going to get two schools of thought. First of all, no one can prove that there was a King Arthur ever. So the two schools of thought are that it's a fable and it never existed, and the other school of thought is that it might have been a fable, but it was based on a real person, but they can't pinpoint who that was or where he was. Now, in your book, Emerald Island, is that referring to England or some other place?
I believe it refers to England.
Okay.
Because there is what is called the Emerald Isle over in England, correct?
Okay. I guess. I think I've heard that, but it's off the coast of England, isn't it? Is that actually an island called Emerald Island?
I believe so. One thing we can look up, or if anybody wants to look it up, go right ahead.
And then Avalon. Where is Avalon supposed to be?
As I would guess, that's in our own hearts is one way to look at it, because it's our utopia through the mist of Avalon, and we have there's another article, but writing called The Round Table, and it's like, okay, we have put on our masks of deception, and so those are being removed. It's pretty interesting that this book says masks, of deception, where we're all going around wearing a mask. I'm not saying we're being deceived, or are we deceiving ourselves from who we truly are and taking our power within ourselves? And that does this what is reality?
Well, that mask, in my interpretation, is what I call the avatar. Basically, we're living in this. We're experiencing what we're experiencing through an avatar that's not really us, but it's one that we created. So that would be the mask that they were referring to there. How I would interpret that. Yeah. And so, but all those 10 points that you mentioned are in multiple other places of aspects to, strive for, and the utopia. We've chosen not to be in utopia because we really are in utopia, but living through the avatar in the physical experience has taken us out of utopia to experience whatever we've chosen for our souls to evolve. I mean, it's really, why would we take ourselves out of utopia to go learn something, to go back to utopia? So kind of counterintuitive, but, where we are right now, we're kind of blocked from our total understanding. So obviously there's an inert feeling within our true self to grow and to expand, and for that reason, we've chosen to do what we're doing.
Correct.
And of course, I'm here, so I'm trying to figure out why I chose to do this, and which makes it interesting.
I know many times many of us have said, "What was I thinking?"
Was I just a dog chasing my tail there?
Well, you know what? I got when you said that, I got to thinking about what's going on today, and we create our reality, and then part of that reality, or freedom, whatever you want to call it, seems like it's taken away because of that coronavirus. Yet, is it really taken away, or is it forcing us to go more inside and understand the inner wisdom that we hold? But I don't know how many times I've said, is this really real? Of course, it's not, but it is in this reality. That makes sense.
Right. I mean, it's a real
but it's
experience. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's like it was somewhat taken. It was basically taken away, and you're like, what the heck? You mean I can't even go to the store, and stores aren't open, and grocery stores are, but we don't have the freedom that we once had. So we're realizing the reality that we were in, and we're changing that reality because it's like, okay, we're done with that. But at the same time, it's like, I want my freedoms back, but I feel we're going to be, it's bringing this into the day, that we're going to be so much kinder, more compassionate, at least most people, on this earth because of what's going on and understanding ourselves more fully.
Yeah, and I also think that the more that our lives were involved in others, attached to others, or involved in others, or doing others, like if we owned a business and all of that, our lives were affected a lot more by the COVID-19 than others would be. Like, I'm in the retirement age. I do work, but I do a lot from home. So it really hadn't affected me as much as some other people were affected. And I think it's on a multi-level plane that it affects different people and I think there's more to come. And what this is getting each person ready to deal with it on their own levels. So people that had a difficult time maybe coping with what changes this brought, it's good time to go within and try and figure out what those were and why, because others didn't have to deal with it as much, and it's maybe that they, depended more on themselves than others. But I think there are even more challenging times coming, and this was just a step towards those, and not mean challenging that they're going to be harder. They could be, they might not be, but depending on how you handle this one, could affect how you handle whatever comes forward. And so I urge everyone to, try and take heed of what we've talked about. The, number 7 relaxation we taught. Get into learning about the Ho'oponopono. Learn about, I would go into Course of Miracles. Anything that you grab, whether it's even your Christian faith, that's fine. Go and remember, the most important thing that Beverly spoke about earlier is responsibility. We are responsible for everything that goes on in our world. And when you realize that and you can take control of that, the things outside don't seem to be as troubling because you do control what happens and your response to them. I hope that made sense. Sometimes I ramble. But because I do think, you shared some stuff with me today, Bev, that at some point we might share with the public. You and I are prepared to deal with what you shared, and I'm just bringing this out because some of it could appear to be dark, okay? But I don't see it that way. I see it as preparing me to see how strong I am in my resolve inside me. And it really doesn't matter, all these other things that could come first. But these things are challenging and testing things that are going to test our resolve and our beliefs and stuff. And if it's all kind of just like a game to see what level you're at and whether you're going to move to the next level, like if it was Zelda, are you going to move to the next level in the game of Zelda, or are you going to stay back, or did you lose your life and have to start all over again? And that meaning losing your life is being not literal but figurative. So and maybe because I'm getting older and I'm more philosophical, I don't know, but I tend to believe that everything's for a reason, and the reasons are for me, and it's not because I'm being selfish, but it's because I realize that we are all one anyway, and I'm just experiencing it through my lenses, and I've created the other conscious agents that are with me in this virtual reality, and that I've put them in different, icons throughout my system, and I interact with them in different ways. That's all I'd have to say.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. We all have but basically what you're saying is we all have our own stories, and we're living through our own lens. However, the more that we understand who and what we are, the trying times that we're going through will become not so trying. And so when we're on the other side of it, we're going to say, wow, that was an interesting experience, but look where it brought me. It brought me from this point to this point, and how much more people will feel more enlightened when this, abides. Or they may be doing that right now because they're starting to question, because they're saying, hey, this doesn't all sound right. And so more people are going within. So the more that you do that, take care of yourself, again, take responsibility for yourself, whatever that may be, the better you will get through the processes. The Earth is doing a frequency change, as well as our bodies. So the new world's here, but can we perceive it? If that makes sense to you.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if there's anybody that has any questions, I don't know if anybody's live online with us tonight, but if you do, this would be the time to come on, unmute yourself, and ask Bev or myself any questions you might have on any topic that we talked about in the last 15 weeks or anything specifically tonight. So if there's anybody there, this is the time to come forth. And I didn't think there was anybody live. Most of the people that come listen to us via our recordings. So a few housekeeping things. Bev and I are still looking into another and different platforms so that maybe we can actually be visible too. So we'd have a broadcast where you could see us and interact with us like a Zoom or something. So we're going to take next week off, and we're going to collect and see what we're going to move forward. So we'll be moving from today, which is, I think, the 5th, and we will go and be at the next broadcast will be on the 19th, okay? And in order to make sure that you get updated on if we're on this same platform or another one, Bev, could you give an email where they could email and get placed on our list to get informed on these podcasts?
You can email me at beverlyt01@gmail.com. That's BEVERLY @gmail.com.
Great.
And let me know if you're not on the list. Then I will add you to the list, subscriber list, and because we may have a whole nother number to call into in 2 weeks, and Terry's going to do a little more research on that end.
Also, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned the bank code, or what they're calling it now, code breaker technology, which gives you your basic personality in a very concise code. 4 codes would be bank would be blueprint, A would be action, N would be nurturer, and K would be knowledge. So I invite you to go to terrypalma.com, TERRY, as in Peter, ALMA.com. Take your personal bank. It takes less than 90 seconds. And the reason you want to do that is because it's going to give you a lot of information about yourself, which you probably know, some of which you don't, but it's going to give you insight in how you possibly are responding to this situations and how you will respond in the future. And what's most important is not so much how you respond now, but it's your third and fourth position of that code that you want to balance. Because if you're an A like me, you take action, you move forward quickly, and the blueprint part is my last part, the fourth part of my code, and so I need to learn and balance that a lot more than I do. A blueprint, someone likes to have things scheduled. They like to know what's coming. They, so that's why this stuff that happens doesn't affect me as much, because it's not as important to me. I figure I'll deal with it as it comes. But if you're a B in the most important spot, you're number 1, you're going to want to know what's coming, how to deal with this and stuff. So it's important to know what your code is. Go crack your code and then come and share with us, and I'll explain a lot of what those codes mean, or you will be put on a list with me, because that's directly to me, and I can, you can call me at either Beverly at 864-999-3008. Leave a message that you'd like to talk to me about your code. You've cracked your code, and you want more insight on it. And of course, that's a free session. Be happy to talk to you about it. But I think with things that are coming up, it's going to be very important for you to know what your code is and what areas you might need to balance and be prepared. Bev, do you have anything else?
Thank you. I kept hearing balance, 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 and that's truly what it's all about. It's balancing ourselves within ourselves, and that's exactly what you're talking about and doing. And so it's understanding ourselves even more deeply. So thank you. I haven't done it yet, so I need to do that. And as I told Terry, it's learning how to work my new computer. So obviously I'm not real literate in the computer area, but I'll work on that. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we will eventually get back to the Declaration of Independence. It's just that we mentioned that last week. Lots and lots of research and probably thousands of documents that you could go through. But I'm trying to bring it a little closer together. So I'm not going all over the place because it takes hours. And also, I'm going to see if I can download more information on that for you all. Yes, I find that people are very interested, and especially with what our country is going through right now, I thought it would be nice to understand a little bit more about our forefathers, but why they came up with these Constitution and Declaration of Independence. I probably won't get into the Constitution. This is really not my bailiwick, but it's like, okay, it's time to research some of this stuff that you've written. So here we go.
And Bev, thank you for bringing that information about Arthur to our consciousness, because we won't find that anywhere. unless we're reading your books, and you helped explain it because you brought it through, and that's information that we just can't find anywhere. So thank you for that, and we'll look forward to other things that you bring forth with that. All right, guys, it's time to end it. Remember now, we won't be here next week. We'll be back on the 19th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, be safe. Go inside and learn more about yourself. Go crack your code, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Take care.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.